Welcome back to Houzz TV Live. I'm Rick Spence, and with me today is Sara Swabb with Storie Collective out of beautiful Washington, D.C. And today we got a really special home. It's a Tudor style with beautiful stonework, and it's just one of those homes you walk up to and you go, there's a story behind this place.
So this home was built in 1936, so it's, almost 100 years old. We love the idea of saving all the old houses, enhancing the home and protecting the integrity of the home itself.
Give me a little feel when you first walk into the home. I know there's probably some dramatic changes here. And let's start with the
Right.
entryway.
So when you walk through the entryway, there's this, beautiful wood door greeting you right from the start. And then this original staircase, it's really incredible piece of art. It curves up to the second level and has beautiful iron railing. We just adorn that with a textural stair runner. Previously, the home had, this plaster walls, and it was very closed off entry. And there was kind of a flap door between the entry and the dining room, and then another door between the entry and the kitchen. So what we did was enhance the space and bring in a little bit of natural light cascading from the dining room and from the kitchen. So we opened those door frames up into beautiful arches, and we had the builder really mimic the original plaster details and all of the scrapings and markings, and really just made it look as natural and original as possible.
So tell me about some of the art and some of the small touches in the entryway.
Sure. So the art is actually a piece that the client sourced herself. She has a beautiful art collection, and they have roots both in her home country of Mexico and the United States. So really she's found pieces from, her entire life.
So one of the challenges in an old home is old wiring. I see when you first enter the old style switches that you push for on and off. Is that a new faceplate, or was there anything new done there?
That is all new. The sconces are new in that area. And so we added a sconce to the right and the left of the arch that is between the entry and the dining. And that electric is new. And then it also hits the pendant in the entry as well. And we went with a brand called Brass Accents for those beautiful switches.
So let's step into the kitchen. Why don't you give me a little overview what some of the goals were for the kitchen and how you tackled it?
Sure. So previously, the kitchen had been walled off where the peninsula is. So you really couldn't see the kitchen from the rest of the house. Now you have that little eat-in area off the countertop into the dining room. So when you walk into the kitchen, you're really floored by the fact that you have three types of tile within the space. And really, that's an ode to the Portuguese influence that the client really was drawn to. So you'll see handmade terracotta tile on the floor, and that's in a herringbone pattern with a soldier stack border. You'll also see hand-formed Zellige tile on the rear wall in a nice gloss white color. On the range wall, you'll see a tile by Tabarca, and that is also terracotta tile, and it is hand painted. So really artisan made tiles all throughout this space. The kitchen itself is at the rear of the home, so it's spanning the entire width of the home. Some people would say, wow, that refrigerator is quite far from the peninsula or the cooking space or the range. And that did not impact the client's lifestyle or her needs. She actually uses the sink in the back to do a lot of the prep work, gets everything cleaned up to then bring over to chop or cook or, what have you on the peninsula. And so when you have a client who says that's totally fine, we're good with it. And so what we wanted to do was bring some continuity, and the tile really does a good job expanding the entire back wall. Just a few inches into the dining room, we expanded, and that few inches gave the client a lot more breathing space to work at the range. And then we also were able to tuck in nice glide drawers next to the range so she can get all of her spices, all of her oils, all of her everyday utensils that she needs to cook.
Let's go into a little bit more of some of your storage and the way you hid some things in the cabinet right next to the sink. That's really cool because it's like a little garage. Well, actually a large garage for some of the appliances, but you can just keep them there, pull them out. You have plugs in there. Tell me about that approach.
That was one feature that, the countertop cabinet with the doors, that pocket back. So oftentimes we have clients who want to live, with things open so they can grab them and they can see things. A lot of people are very visual in their everyday lifestyle. And so having the ability to open those and keep them open for your everyday life. But when you have people coming over, then you can just close those off.
And there's another area adjacent and underneath the sink where you have another pocket where you have trays and things like that. And that just stays open.
That stays open. There's a little bit of controversy about corner cabinets, right? Do we try to get a lazy Susan going in there? Do we try to get a pull out? And what do we try to do there? Oftentimes, I find that whatever's back there, unless the cabinet's big enough, we're not going to actually access it that much. The things get stuck. So just getting some easy access cutting boards in that little opening is perfect. And that's all we need.
I love all the material choices here. Tell me about the countertops.
Yeah, the countertops are a Taj Mahal quartzite. We love to work in natural stone. So quartzite's going to be a little bit harder than marbles. Very natural looking. It's this, light brown, minimal movement. And we wanted it to just feel natural and at ease, not really screaming, give me attention.
So tell me about your approach to mixing metals.
Mixing metals is our favorite thing to do. Everything from the cabinetry hardware to the plumbing fixtures to the sink, anything that's, metal, even the range, we think about how is this going to impact the space? So the sink itself is brass. We always choose to do brass, copper, or nickel sinks. And then from there, we'll choose fire clay options. So the sink in the sidewall is a fire clay option.
So now that the home is more open and you remove that wall that was above the peninsula, you get quite a bit of natural light, but you also did some lighting here. So walk me through some of the lighting choices and what you did in the kitchen.
The lighting itself is a little bit more modern. The client really loves mid-century style, but also modern. That is something that we brought in through the faucet as well as the lighting. So we're choosing to mix styles here as well and making it a little bit more eclectic. The lighting itself is made of alabaster on the ceiling. So the flush mounts, there's 8 alabaster lights, and they really line the ceiling beautifully. They're something to look at, and they really diffuse light much differently than a recessed light would. There are pendants over each sink by design. The client was thinking, oh, I always need a little bit more lighting when I'm washing my dishes or when I'm, getting veggies ready. Some people would opt to do those right at the peninsula, but we really thought, we'd rather have, the pendant lighting at the sink here. And that's really, for the client's lifestyle, but also for the flow of this room itself. Having attention at the peninsula wasn't something we wanted to do because we can see this beautiful tile much better if we're not distracted by lighting. So kind of like letting that tile speak a little bit more in this space.
Amazing kitchen. Congratulations on the kitchen. Just awesome. Let's step into the dining area and walk me through some of the choices here. Just beautiful.
Thank you. So the choice that, might stand out the most in this space is the wallpaper. It is Thibaut textured wallpaper. How you see it is squares, right? Small squares. And that really does give a nice nod to the Zellige tile in the other space, as well as the terra-cotta tile. We wanted it to feel like, oh, okay, there's some flow between the two spaces because they do feel like one another, but very different. The other striking opportunity here is beautiful nature-inspired drapery. And so that is just kind of that standout element in this space. The drapery coupled with the lighting fixture they're a little bit more modern. They're a little bit more contemporary. And so bringing those patterns in, we really wanted to say, okay, we have these kind of statement making pieces, but we want to really bring it back to the craftsmanship and the age of the home. And so we brought in a custom dining table from LC Green. And so that, has a nice custom finish. And it also has this beautiful natural texture to it that really just stands out and feels like, wow, this could have originally been here. And then we brought in these vintage chairs from the 1950s and really rounded out the space.
The chairs are amazing.
They are so wide and they are so deep for vintage chairs, because usually when you're looking at vintage chairs, the seat height's a little bit lower and it's usually a little bit narrower. This client was very specific in saying, we sit at our dining room table every day. We have conversations here. We want to use this space. And so if we do get vintage chairs, they just must be very comfortable. And so we added a little cushion on the rush seat to make sure that, everyone's fully comfortable at all times.
Yeah, the cushion looks like it should have been there all along. Tell me more about how you chose the light fixture over the dining table.
Well, we wanted it to feel like you could just kind of see through it. And so at the end of the day, we didn't want to choose something that took up a lot of visual space. And this light does not take up much visual space. It's got the oil rub bronze finish, really beautiful formed glass. It is a little nod to the past with it being a contemporary option.
So let's talk a little bit about Houzz Pro. And you've been in business formally, your own business, for a little over 4 years. How does a tool like Houzz Pro fit into your business? How do you use it?
Sure. Houzz Pro streamlines our entire process for us from start to finish. So from our first message to our client to, communicating with our vendors and then, sending our final invoice to our client, we're always doing everything within Houzz Pro. And it's also a really great tool for when we need to pay taxes or, do our bookkeeping. It communicates with all of the other systems that we work with and keeps things organized for us.
That's awesome. So you got time for one more space?
Sure.
Walk me through this beautiful living space.
Yeah, so for this space, we really did want to continue adhering to the earthy elements. However, we did want to bring a pop of sea teal and the natural leather. It's just one of those spaces that still feels earthy and organic. It has a little bit more emphasis on color because we do have these really high vaulted ceilings.
And I see a little mid-century influence with the lighting fixture. Tell me about that beautiful piece.
Some people would say that's a small spaceship up there. We love natural elements such as brass and really allowing that to be a statement. It works really hard because it does diffuse light very differently than other light fixtures. And that's something we look at when we select a piece. In a living room, we don't want the light to be casting down right on our client. The finish itself kind of glows, which is really nice because it just gives this overall relaxing feel. The fireplace was previously a very heavy stone and the grouting work was not stellar. And so we thought, okay, let's see if we can lime wash this. So we lime washed the entire fireplace. And it just brought this really nice textural earthy finish without making the space feel darker.
Well, I think you did a great job honoring the history of this home. It's just beautiful. So many amazing selections. And I can't wait to see what else you do. You're only 4 years into your own business. I mean, the sky's the limit. So congratulations on everything. And I hope we get to do it again.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Sarah. Bye-bye.
Bye.